It was about time to shoot one of our biggest projects yet. It's called Måneland and it's a children's series where we're gonna make a pilot episode. As many of the scenes in this series is happening on the moon. We had to plan the shots in detail as 3D work and tracking takes a lot of time in post. Therefore, we used a new visual production app called Jetset on our phone to plan the 3D scenes. And now we're soon done building the whole set and it was about time to shoot, edit and have the big premiere at the cinema. So stay tuned to see how that went. Look at what the hell, how did you? Wow, so cool.
Here in Views, we have never been afraid to take on a challenge, but creating a full TV episode of 20 minutes where almost half of it is 3D, that would be our biggest challenge yet. Being able to add some moving shots to the episode without creating like a lot of uncertainty in post would really increase the quality of the production a lot. As we mentioned in the first episode, Anders and I went to NAB this year and we saw a demo of the Jetset app for the iPhone, which basically turns your iPhone into a virtual production tracker. And we were blown away by this. And this would allow us to track the motion, but also to be able to visualize what the final shot will look like with the 3D. Make sure you see the first episode about this project to learn more about that.
In addition to the 3D scenes and the visual production shots and green screen, we also were going to shoot a lot of scenes inside what should look like a home-built space rocket. So Aaron, our set designer, who also worked on some of our previous projects, is building all the sets. There are 4 rooms in total, in addition to a UFO, which are all going to be built in our studio and office. While Aaron was building, Kim, who is coordinating, and Matthias, who is doing the cinematography, were discussing how to install the lamps for this set design.
I heard nothing actually. Okay, what did you say?
Yeah, it's not easy to discuss shots while being on a construction site. Okay, it's one day until the shoot and we're getting so close now. And Aaron even made some practical stuff, like you can, if you want to adjust the lights, you can just walk out there. So, but Aaron, how is it going? Like,
pretty good.
Yeah, has it been stressful?
Of course. Like it's not Andiak's project if it's not.
Yeah, it's not the first time we do an ambitious project in our studio. Do you remember the sci-fi street we built?
Everything's a mess. We're pretty far behind.
Props and location tells a lot about the characters in the movie. And since in this story, the space rocket was built by a granddad using things he found in his barn, this was important to think about for the story and uniqueness of the rocket. The awesome Norwegian movie called Flåklypa Grand Prix was an inspiration for this actually.
If you look around, there's actually a lot of stuff from pretty much every other project you guys have done. So a lot of the panels are from the sci-fi set. The wall is from the Christmas ad. That chest is from Cloud Mountain. The fish tank. Do you remember the fish tank from the old office?
Yeah.
That's what's holding the whole setup. Over here we've got some old skis. They're broken, so Kim managed to get them for free. The red paneling is like an old Norwegian barn, so that's why that's sort of like that. The suitcases are here because she's stowed away on board, so it's like they just built the bed out of whatever they found. There's a ton of stuff from around the office, there's a ton of stuff from your house.
Yeah. It's something special having a rocket built in your studio. Like when we first got the actors to the rocket, they were like, here's where we're gonna live. Like this, it helps so much with the character to be in a space like this.
Emma, help, I'm stuck outside. Out in the void. Wait.
I don't know, mye topplys.
See ya.
Alt på dimmer da, så
They look real?
Since the rocket is supposed to be up in space, the only outside light source is the sun, and it should be quite harsh, since there's no atmosphere there. We used the molten to make the outside pitch black, so we could just add stars or add parts of the moon landscape in post. For lighting inside, we used quite a lot of practical lights, and soft light from the ceiling. To save space, we used flat light panels pointing down from the ceiling and putting up some 8x8 white fabric under it.
Aaron has worked for, I don't know, too many hours and many days, weeks, so I think just a small applause for Aaron.
Aaron did an amazing job yet again, and it was now about time to shoot.
So everybody should just go to their places and let's get this show on the road. Let's get this show on the road.
For cameras, we used mostly the Canon C300 Mark III, but also the Sony FX3 for the interior scenes because they were tighter, and with a full frame sensor, it was nice to create shallow depth of field in this tight space. Regardless, we used the DZ0 ALES lenses, as they are super sharp and fast. This is nice for VFX work, green screen, and for the dimly lit space rocket. Then, for the video production part, we ended up with this awesome rig. As mentioned, we are using the Jetset app on our iPhone 14 Pro, with a cage that keeps it in place, which is important for the tracking. We are also using a fan to cool down the phone, as the Jetset app is very powerful. To shoot on a professional camera, yet use our phone as the tracker, we are dependent on the Accsoon SeeMo. And this is the Pro version, which is a monitoring, recording and streaming adapter for iOS devices. It lets you use your iOS phone or tablet as a monitor, it lets you record what you see on a professional camera straight into your phone. You have both an SDI and HDMI input to connect to your camera, laptop or other video devices, and then a USB-C output to connect to your phone or tablet, including an extra 5V USB-C output that we use to power the cooler. The SeeMo Pro also powers your phone or iPad through the USB-C. It also has an SDI output to connect other monitors or an Accsoon wireless video transmitter, as we have done here. So this powerful device can do a lot, and it's definitely worth checking out. There's a link in the description.
Scene 16, slate 1, tagning 2.
Vær så god.
Ok, så vi kan spille en C. F. C. Og så G.
Ja. Det høres veldig fint ut.
Ok.
Since both the interior shots and the moon shots on the green screen were going to be shot in our studio, we had to build the whole rocket on top of our green screen, so we can't shoot them both at the same time. So even though the story was laid out so it's some scenes inside and they go out and they go in again, we had to just shoot everything inside first to be able to do this within the time we had. I'm really glad we started with that, so the characters could then get to know the world we are in before going out to the green screen shots.
Og vær så god.
Takk, kjempefint. Okay, it's day 3 and we have moved the whole set because now we're gonna film in a room which Aaron just created today. This was previously her bedroom and the music room, but now we changed it to the control room. Of course, on set we are using the SmallRig X&DX Creative Toolkit, which is a product we made with SmallRig because we saw the need of having a kind of a survival kit on set. So this thing is $99 and that's actually a good deal because you get all these things with this box. There's a link in the description. It might save your day on set one day. Vi laster oss to igjen.
Hvorfor i all verden for en uten dybdesyn lov til å parkere utenfor her?
It was about time to shoot the green screen scenes. We started filming the UFO scene in our meeting room, while Aaron was steering down the space rocket in the studio. You don't see the whole set, but it's good to have something at least, so both of them to interact, and also that we combine the real stuff with the 3D stuff. Okay, now we are coming to the scene where they're gonna dance on the moon. One shot is the wide angle of them jumping around 100 frames, so it looks like they're almost the same gravity as we have on the moon. We're just gonna do a close-up of them while they are turning around. You might remember the scene from Titanic when they have the camera filming the person dancing in circles. Instead of trying to attach something to their head and follow them while they dance, Matthias's idea was that to just stand still, holding the camera like this, and then since it's a green screen, we can move the background around, but then we also need a light or a sun to move around. So Matthias is gonna carry the sun around the person, and then in post we're gonna see that the background is turning around.
Går det, ser du den, Anders? Ja. Anders? Did you capture that I yelled at Anders?
Det er ikke så mange som greier det.
Anders.
Now we're gonna shoot Witcher production on the green screen, and I was so excited. Also a little bit nervous here because Jetset is not an app a lot of high-end or professionals has been using, as I've seen. I've seen a lot of tests that seems really promising, and we had also been using Jetset for the pre-production, and it looked promising. I believe we could do this. At the same time, you don't know about new technology coming out. Like, are you sure it's gonna work?
To get the most out of Jetset, you would want to have the whole scene as a USD file, which is a universal 3D file that you can load onto the phone so you can preview what you want the final scene to look like. So we decided to do a lot of the 3D modeling beforehand, before the shoot, so that we will be able to load those scenes onto the iPhone. First of all, I had to model the whole world basically, which was like the UFO, the spaceship, the moon. Of course, in projects like this, you would try to buy assets, but there's not that much assets of homemade spaceships out there. So basically I ended up modeling basically everything from scratch. I decided to use a Blender because that is the 3D software I'm most comfortable at the moment, and it's software where you can do basically everything. It was important that it looked kind of handmade, so we wanted it to be a lot of different details around on the spaceship. Spent a lot of time handcrafting all of these different instruments. I also hand painted a lot of the textures to have rust on the edges so it looked really worn and old. So I think it came out really well actually. When I was finished with the modeling, I made a low-res, low-poly version of the scene that we could export out as a USD and load onto the phone with the different markers around the scene where the different characters would be.
So the first shots we did with Witcher production was using the Jetset app and the phone, tracking jib movements. So we used the lovely iFootage mini crane that we've been using for so many years now to get a top angle and moving the camera down when they're walking out of the rocket. So that was the first Witcher production shot we did. We also did some handheld shots to really see how well the tracking will be. So a part of the music video in this series, they were dancing outside the spaceship, so Matthias did some improvised handheld shots. So it will be really fun to see how this would turn out in the end. Later in this video, we'll come back to how we use the post-production for Jetset and show some final results. I was quite nervous on how it will look with the costumes combined with real people and having like important stories as well about being lonely, as well as all the humor and the music videos. I was a bit nervous that you wouldn't take it seriously because of the costume, but actually it works so well out. She was such a great actress inside the costume, so she managed to just give the whole alien a character that felt real. Actually, just by using their body and having a good voice acting, you believe in it. So this is a children's series, and there's a lot of humor in this series. So we were shooting one shot, which was like a point of view angle from the UFO, and there was some like a septic tank that's being emptied over the people. Even though it's a bit childish, I thought it was a really funny scene. When we first had the camera up there, we wanted to shoot some extra shots of the main characters on the moon. The problem was that we didn't have Hennika on set. We only had the granddad. So
we needed to find someone to fill Hennika's shoes. Luckily, our editor stepped up and took it upon herself to help with this very challenging task and saved the day.
remember that you don't need much to tell a story. Like for instance here, we just use some moving lights combined with a sound effect of a space rocket door opening. And just by combining those two things, the audience can imagine what's happening in front of them. So you don't even need to see the door. Of course, we had to replace the green screen background, but just think about close-ups, think about sound design, how lights is moving. So here we just used the spot lens mount from Aperture, and Matthias was moving the metal blades or metal shades inside this lens mount to create that wipe or opening effect of the light.
Tack. Yes, det var det. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. Måneden is a wrap.
Nei, jeg vil ikke være ferdig. Alle sammen. Fy faen, hvor deilig er å jobbe med dere, altså.
The shoot was over, and I was now so curious to see how Morten would use the tracking data and create the 3D environments, combining what we shot with 3D world. And Morten, I haven't seen a lot of 3D work from him before, so we sent all the footage, the tracking data to Morten, and I just had to wait patiently to see what he would create.
Lightcraft, the company behind Jetset, has a lot of really in-depth tutorials on this, so I'm just gonna touch on the surface so you get a brief overview of how we were able to basically create 10 minutes of 3D footage where a bit of it was also moving cameras. Of course, your iPhone is not going to be as accurate as a professional tracking system costing tens of thousands of dollars. It's not sub-pixel perfect, which means that if you have certain reference point in the image, like feet touching the ground, it might drift a little bit. But what impressed me a lot about the Jetset app and everything around it is the professional workflow they have created so that you can fix this in post and integrate the whole thing into a professional VFX workflow. To be able to handle most of the 3D work and VFX by myself, I needed a workflow that was efficient. After a bit of experimentation, I found that the most sensible for this project was to edit it in Resolve as we always do, before moving on to AutoShot, Synthesize, Blender, and finally comp it together in Fusion inside of Resolve. Here is a very quick overview of this workflow. To start out, when the editors have locked the clip, I write down the scene and slate number as well as the in and out frame of that clip and more info in a big spreadsheet with overview of all the VFX clips. For the shots where we use Jetset, I go into AutoShots, which is the companion app for PC and Mac. Here you sync the text from your phone and you also locate the folder where the camera files are. In AutoShot, you set the in and out frame and color space as well as the AI roto model to remove the actors from the tracking footage. You can choose to open the footage directly in Unreal or Blender if you want to use the track that your iPhone made. However, if you want to refine the track further, as we did, you select Others. Click Save and Run and AutoShot will generate files for different apps like Maya, Cinema 4D and Nuke, but we will choose Synthesize. Synthesize is a really great 3D tracking software that is used by a lot of professionals across the industry. Open Synthesize and run the sizzle script which AutoShot just generated, and you can see that it automatically loads the footage, the LiDAR scan of our studio, and the Jetset track. It also added the AI rotomat, which is great so that we don't track the actors moving, which can confuse the software. To refine the track, I created a lot of trackers by blipping the frames a few times. Check out Lightcraft's tutorial on this as it shows everything in great detail. We'll link it in the description. Now it's time to drop trackers onto the mesh to connect everything together. In said tutorials, they use some of the automatically generated trackers. I find it for some reason to be better to use manual trackers for this process, so I'll manually create about 4 different trackers, select them, and drop onto mesh. Now, when I solve, I get a pixel error of about 3.5, so I clean up things a bit more to get it below the recommended 1 hpixel error. As you can see, the mesh follows the camera movement. Why is this so great? Well, when we export out to Blender and copy everything into your final scene, the scale and position of the camera and characters are correct. This means that you as an VFX artist knows where the director intended on placing the subject as they did that on set with Jetset. So you don't have to do any guesswork regarding where they should be or how big the actors really are, etc. In Blender, I would fine-tune the position slightly so I know they are positioned on the floor. And for rendering out of Blender, I use multi-layered EXR files with Cryptomatte selected, and I'll show you in Fusion why. So in Fusion, I usually have some help from Matthias and Emma to do the keying, and we would have a normal key of the actors, but also a key of their shadows. Then I would load the sequence we just exported from Blender. I corrected the color space, then put it as a background below the keyed footage. As you can see here, the foot should be behind a rock, and this is where the Cryptomattes come in handy. With WeSuckLess Reactor's Cryptomatte plugin, you can extract any object in the scene, plug that into the inverted mask input of the merge node, and voila, the rock is in front. This method is also really nice if you want to selectively color correct certain parts of the 3D render. When the Fusion clip is ready, it's already in DaVinci Resolve ready for color grading. Not all the clips were moving shots from Jetset, of course. A lot of it was static shots, which simplify things a lot, and some movements were too big for us to do in studio, so instead I faked the movement in Blender. I exported out the camera separately as an FBX file and imported it into Fusion, which lined up perfectly with the exported Blender footage. Then I just placed the characters in the 3D environment and it would match. I could of course just add them as cards directly in Blender, but I've never been quite comfortable in Blender's compositor, and I prefer the flexibility of not having to re-render the whole Blender scene if I want to make any adjustments to the comp. Additionally, there were some scenes with more conventional VFX work. There was a mailbox, which was very important in the episode, but we didn't have time to build it physically, so instead we took a cardboard box and added some tracking markers, and I tracked it in Cintize, and then I added a mailbox which I had modeled in Blender. We also decided to make the scene with flying food with the help of 3D, as it would just have been too difficult to create this realistically on set. So that was a very quick overview of how we solved the VFX work for this project.
Morten is currently living in USA for some time, so we just sent the files over to him so he could work on the 3D stuff while we were sleeping. Time flies, you know, and we were going to have a premiere in about a month on a cinema, so we had to really be efficient. There's a lot to do in post. Okay, we have now been editing for about 4 weeks, and DaVinci Resolve, like now we can really use it for what it's worth. Like we're editing. Matthias and Emma can do fusion stuff. We color grade while we are in the timeline, and Marius can do sound design while we are working in the timeline. So it's just a really nice way to collaborate. Like the whole team can work on the same sequence at the same time. Let's try to use Fusion now. Let's try to do everything within DaVinci Resolve, so we don't need to send files to After Effects and back, because that takes some time exporting and stuff. So Emma and Matthias learned Fusion quite well to both do the keying, some tracking, and some compositing. So, and it worked.
Okay, so right now I'm working on some screen replacements. She's holding an iPad, so I'm fixing the video that she's watching. And I've also done a lot of the windows, because we had to replace the outside windows. We did black them out when we shot it, but we need to add some stars and some moon landscape and stuff like that. And I've also been keying with Emma.
I made the screens in Photoshop and then I put them in After Effects to do the animations and then put them in Fusion. Yeah, and we also had to track every screen so it follows the shots. Alright, so we have locked the edit, everything is done, and now I am color grading everything, which is a huge task. I'm trying to match everything. We have a lot of VFX shots and green screen shots, so I'm trying to match them, make it look as realistic as possible. So yeah.
Now I'm doing sound design and post-production for the audio side. So I recorded all the audio, so I guess all the mistakes I've done on set is my problem now. And also, like, there's a lot of sound effects and a lot of ambiances that needs to go in here, so it's a complex project. And we're also doing a cinema screening of this, so I need to make it like sound good for the cinema as well. So yeah, a lot to do.
It was done. It was the premiere, and the cool thing about the people who invested in this pilot episode, they just wanted to do it really big. They wanted to have a premiere at a cinema for people involved, and also the friends and family of the people involved. So we had this premiere with all the costumes, the aliens. It was drinks, and I had a little speech thanking everyone, telling a little bit about the background story of this.
Ja, I dag det en premiere, altså på Måneland, en pilotepisode av Måneland.
And the premiere went so well. I was so proud of the whole team, yeah, it feels so good, you know, when you have done so much work and seeing it all come together, and that everyone's both not just work but also everyone's creative minds coming together to create something that everyone enjoys watching in the cinema. That was just a really good feeling. So now I'm really excited to see what's gonna happen next. The people behind this series, those who asked us to produce it, they are now bringing the pilot episode down to Cannes in France to pitch it to TV channels, to streaming services, to hopefully be able to sell it and get money to produce the whole thing. So yeah, that's gonna be really exciting. I'm just crossing my fingers that someone will buy this, and then maybe next year we're gonna do this, the whole series. So what's gonna happen next? I don't know, we'll see. So subscribe on this YouTube channel. There's more videos coming out very soon, exciting videos, and I hope you liked this video. Comment below if you have any questions, inputs, whatever. There's links in the description to the Jetset app, check it out, and Accsoon products to be able to use the phone for video production and as a monitor. Check them out in the link. And check out our product with SmallRig, the Creator Toolkit. That's also a link in the description. Also, there's a video popping up probably here to see how we made it. And I'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching. Ha det bra.